There's an epidemic in our world where people are lacking meaning. They feel like they don't have purpose. And oftentimes when I get the question of, well, what's my purpose? What's my meaning? Why am I here? What I hear behind the question is, why do I feel like I don't have significance? And that's a very different question. Oftentimes, I feel like when people are asking for the meaning of the universe, they're not really actually looking to understand what the whole intention of the universe is, or even what their personal meaning in the universe is. They feel a disconnect. And they're saying, from the way that I perceive myself, I cannot at this time understand or fathom what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. And so they break down the word purpose into a bunch of different things that it could mean. Is it career? Is it family? Is it heritage? Is it lineage? Is it legacy? Is it ontology? What exactly do we mean by purpose? I think when you read the Bible, the first thing it says about humanity is that they were created in his image, right? God created them in his image. There's a few things that go to that, right? Like he's given them dominion to rule with him, right? He made them in his image, not just Adam, but them both. We'll get to that in a second. You have Adam told to tend and keep the garden. When you take those Hebrew words and you look at them through a lexicon, you don't even need to know Hebrew for this. You find that they're used later in priestly language. This suggests that the vocation of Adam in the garden was priestly. To tend and keep the garden was not an issue of, hey, go plant some peas and some carrots and make a garden and have yourself some food, figure out how to build an oven so you can go ahead and you make some bread from the wheat. That's not what, God is not making Adam a gardener. He's making him a priest of creation. So if we take that idea, priesthood has two functions to it. One, mediation. Mediation, this is vocation, right? Mediation is you representing God to the world. And also you taking the sacrifices and worship and etc. from the world and ministering it up unto God. You are kind of the in-between of creation and deity here. So if humanity is a priest, not individually, but as a corporate, if we're a priesthood, then if we are not acting priestly, sacrificial, loving, building one another up, progressing toward unity and sanctification, progressing toward equal rights and loving our neighbors and building one another up, restoring our brother gently, all of the things that you're taught, just I don't want to isolate one man, but literally read Paul. Just read the epistles of Paul. All of the things that he tells us that we're supposed to be, these are all priestly statements. They're all challenges because of this is who you are. This is your anthropology. This is your ontology. This is who you are. So therefore, live like this. That is Paul's logic almost every single time. So when you talk about purpose and you go to the New Testament and you ask the question of, well, what am I made for? Over and over and over again, it doesn't tell you what you're supposed to do in life. It tells you who you're supposed to be. And I think that that's where we're missing it is we're created in the image of God. We are a priesthood as vocation, as humanity. And so there's a sense of mediation between creation and God. There's a sense also of calling, of being that sacrificial person to put yourself upon the altar to build up the other person because they don't know, right? They're lost. They're out in the world with nothing. They're naked. They've got their shame exposed. And it's you who's supposed to be the one who can come and see them and have compassion and to say, I'm not going to let you sit there. I know what it's like. I've had to have myself atoned for. I'm going to go ahead and do what I have to do to put the sacrifices out there to help you to be built up so that you can also find freedom. Whatever terminology you want to put on that, secular or theological, ultimately, when I've experienced people who feel like they lack purpose and they lack reason of being here and they can't figure out, why they even exist at all, Oftentimes, it's not an issue of they don't know what their destiny or their fate is. Oftentimes, they don't know who they are. They don't know who they are. They're fragmented. Their identity is skewed. They feel at disunion with themselves. And you don't get disunion with yourself without also having a lack of union with people around you, with the God who walks with you, with the creation around you. You have to have unity in union and harmony. When God said it is very good and he rested, he didn't say it is very good because he didn't have anything else he had to do. He said it's very good because everything's functioning the way it's supposed to. He created the heaven and the earth to be able to contain the stars and all the things that go on the earth. Okay, so once the heaven and the earth are built and they're good to be able to hold the stuff, they're good. He doesn't have to keep on building the heavens and the earth. Once he separates the waters and he's got an atmosphere and he's got the sea, now he can have birds and he can have fish, right? Once he's separated the land from the water, now he can have animals and he can have fish. Everything gets separated so that its function could be complete. And then when he fills things again, he puts the bird in the atmosphere. Well, why are they birds? Why aren't they, fill in the blank? Well, because for whatever reason, God decided that the birds go in the atmosphere. That's what they were intended to do. That's what they were intended to be. They are these creatures who, this is their domain. If you took a bird and you tried to tell a bird, your purpose is to swim. It does not matter how much you teach that bird how to swim. That bird is going to feel misaligned. It's going to feel like it doesn't have purpose. It's going to feel like it's not actually, doing the right thing. Why am I here? What's the meaning? Why is there anything? Why? Because it's out of sync with its function. But when you put things back into sync, there's actually an argument from atheism about, purpose, and it's called the paperclip argument. Essentially, if I were to design a robot, and I'm going to pass over this quickly, but if I were to design a robot and the only function of that robot is to make paperclips, well, that robot is going to find absolute delight in making the paperclips. But that's insufficient for humans, right? So if you try to say, well, you have this one particular purpose, this one destiny, whatever, so they're looking at telos. I think that's the right word. They're looking at, this is what you're supposed to do. This is the trajectory that your life is going. But the whole point of their example, in my mind, is, well, the machine was literally designed to make paper clips. If you try to get that machine to build cars, it's going to have a hard time. It's not going to feel fulfilled. The only way it's going to feel fulfilled is if it does the thing that it was designed to do. And this is a flattening of humanity, right? And so they're valid in pointing out, well, this is insufficient. You're right. For humanity, it's insufficient. We are multiple layered, right? But that doesn't mean that we as humans don't have something inherently within our own anthropology that if we start to separate from that and start to go this direction or that direction with our own ideas of what we want to be, our own purpose, our own calling, our own ministry, our own careers, our own fill in the blank, legacy, heritage, prestige, honor, wealth, you put it in there. You tell me what you think that purpose is supposed to be. When you go and you search for these things as an alternative to finding identity and healing so that you're not fractured from your identity anymore, you're at one with yourself, you're in union with yourself. You don't have to ask the question of, well, what am I supposed to do? You're able to comfortably ask the question of, well, what am I supposed to be? Not be like, oh, I'm supposed to be a pastor. I'm supposed to be an evangelist. I'm supposed to be like, I'm supposed to just exist. Being is an ontological issue. I'm not supposed to strive. I'm not supposed to be pushing and doing all of these things that are causing for me to just want to rip my hair out because I can't make things work. We're simply supposed to exist. We're just supposed to be. And being, that is your purpose for everything. What's the purpose of the tree? To be a tree. What's the purpose of a basketball? Well, it's to be a basketball. What's the purpose of this person over here? It's for them to be them. They have their own mind. They have their own way of thinking. They have their own trauma cycles. They have their own physiology. They have their own chemistry and biology. They have their own interests. They have their own special hyper focuses, right? If they have any type of mental illnesses or mental disorders, that's going to be on them and them alone, right? Everybody has things that might overlap with each other. I'm not the only person in the world with ADHD. But just because somebody else has ADHD doesn't mean their brain works the same as mine. We all have our own ontology. We all have our own personhood. And your purpose in the world is to not be afraid of yourself. It's to be healed enough to be yourself and to identify where it is that through the progress of life, whether trauma, society, your teachers, your upbringing, through life, we all get stuff put on top of us. Maybe we've inherited it from our genes. But we have to undo these things that aren't actually us. And when I say us, what I mean by that is the thing that has caused for you to ask the question of what is the meaning of life? What is my purpose? Whatever has caused for you to feel that disunion, that disharmony, that is the thing that is your purpose. That's what you should be searching for. But nobody really seems to be talking about this. It's all in anthropology and it's all in ontology, not in trajectory of life.